Preparation decides the outcome long before the mission begins. Long before boots hit the ground, before helicopters lift, before a single command is whispered, the result is already leaning in one direction or the other. People think the mission is won in the moment of action. It is not. It is shaped in quiet rooms, in repetition, in the small choices made when nothing feels urgent. A Navy SEAL does not rise to the level of the occasion. He falls to the level of his training. That training is not dramatic. It is not cinematic. It is waking up before the body wants to move. It is running the same drill again after getting it right. It is studying maps until the terrain lives in your head. It is checking equipment piece by piece, not because you expect failure, but because you respect the cost of a mistake. Preparation is boring to watch. It looks like discipline without applause. Imagine rehearsing a room entry dozens of times. Every step measured, every angle cleared, every movement synchronized with teammates who must move as one unit. No audience, no adrenaline, just repetition. Then do it again in the dark. Then again while exhausted. Then again after someone changes the layout without warning. The goal is simple. When chaos shows up, it should feel familiar. Preparation builds familiarity with discomfort. You train tired so that fatigue does not surprise you. You train cold so that the environment does not control you. You train under stress so that your breathing does not betray you. The body learns. The mind learns. You create muscle memory that carries you when your thoughts are too slow. Because in real operations, there is no pause button, no reset, no second attempt. The preparation phase is where trust is built, not through speeches, but through shared strain. When you see someone push past what looks like their limit during training, you begin to believe in them. When they see you do the same, something unspoken forms. That trust becomes the invisible thread that holds a team together in moments when communication is impossible. Preparation also exposes weakness. It shows where you hesitate, where you rush, where you overlook details. In training, those weaknesses are corrected. In real missions, they are punished. That is why the standards are high before anything real happens. The goal is not to impress instructors. The goal is to remove uncertainty. You prepare for the plan to fail. Every mission has a primary plan. It also has backups. And backups for those backups. What if the door is locked? What if the intel is wrong? What if the weather shifts? What if communication drops? You walk through scenarios until your brain stops freezing at the unexpected. You do not assume things will go smoothly. You assume something will break, and you prepare your response in advance. This kind of preparation changes how you see risk. Risk does not disappear. It becomes calculated, measured, managed. You respect it, but you do not let it paralyze you. The hours spent studying, rehearsing, and refining give you a foundation. When the moment comes, you are not inventing solutions. You are executing decisions already made in calmer conditions. There is also a mental side to preparation. You visualize the mission before it happens. You see yourself moving through it. You imagine the pressure, the noise, the uncertainty. You imagine your heart rate rising, and you imagine controlling it. This is not positive thinking. It is rehearsal. When the real moment arrives, your brain recognizes it as something practiced. Preparation strips away ego. You cannot rely on talent alone. Talent fades under stress if it is not reinforced. Skill without repetition becomes fragile. The quiet grind before the spotlight is what makes performance stable. You earn confidence through proof. Each completed drill, each corrected mistake, each improvement adds a layer of certainty. By the time the mission begins, the outcome is not random. It is the result of countless unseen hours. The action may last minutes. The preparation lasted months, sometimes years. The difference between success and failure is often hidden in those earlier mornings, in those extra repetitions, in those uncomfortable corrections that no one outside the team will ever know about. When people see precision, they call it talent. When they see calm under pressure, they call it bravery. What they rarely see is the preparation that made both possible. Discipline matters most when no one is watching. It is easy to perform when there is an audience, when supervisors are present, when teammates are looking, when recognition is possible. Most people rise in those moments because attention creates pressure. But the true measure of discipline shows up in private, in the small decisions that no one tracks. A Navy SEAL understands this early. The standard does not change based on who is observing. The run is completed at the same pace whether it is timed or not. The weapon is cleaned with the same care whether inspection is scheduled or not. The body is trained even when fatigue makes excuses sound reasonable. Because discipline is not about external accountability. It is about internal agreement. You make a promise to yourself, and you keep it. There are long stretches between missions. Long stretches without praise. In those spaces, complacency can quietly grow. Skills can dull. Focus can drift. No one may notice immediately. But discipline demands consistency, even when there is no immediate consequence. Waking up before dawn to train when you could sleep longer is not dramatic. Reviewing procedures after a long day when your mind wants to rest is not glamorous. Eating clean when no one is policing your choices does not earn applause. Yet these choices accumulate. They build or erode readiness. The battlefield exposes habits formed in private. If you cut corners in training, you will cut corners under pressure. If you ignore small details when it feels harmless, you will miss critical details when it matters. Discipline creates a pattern. That pattern does not disappear when stress rises. It intensifies. That is why standards are non-negotiable. You do not skip the last repetition because you are tired. You do not rush through a checklist because you have done it 100 times. You do not rely on memory when procedure exists for a reason. Each act of discipline reinforces identity. You are not someone who does what is easy. You are someone who does what is required. There is also mental discipline. Controlling thoughts when doubt creeps in. Refocusing when distractions appear. Managing emotion so it does not leak into decision-making. No one sees the internal conversation. No one hears the self-correction. But that quiet control determines performance. In high-risk environments, emotion can be contagious. Fear spreads quickly. So does panic. Discipline keeps breathing steady. It keeps communication clear. It prevents one person's anxiety from infecting the team. That stability is not improvised in the moment. It is practiced in private over and over. Integrity is a form of discipline. Doing the right thing when it would be easier not to. Reporting mistakes instead of hiding them. Admitting weakness so it can be corrected. These choices rarely come with immediate reward. Sometimes they bring discomfort, but they strengthen trust within the unit. Discipline also protects standards when no one is enforcing them. In remote environments, supervision is minimal. Teams operate independently. The expectation is that each member will maintain performance without reminders. That expectation is not naive. It is built on a culture where discipline is personal. You clean your gear because your life may depend on it. You study because someone else's life may depend on it. The motivation is not fear of punishment. It is respect for responsibility. Over time, discipline becomes less about effort and more about identity. You no longer debate whether to train. You train because that is who you are. You no longer negotiate with shortcuts. You follow procedure because that is the standard you carry. The decision is made long before the moment arrives. The absence of recognition tests this identity. There are no headlines for consistent preparation. No medals for early mornings alone. No applause for resisting distraction. Yet these unseen choices are the foundation of reliability. When pressure hits, others rely on you not because of what you say, but because of what you have repeatedly done. Discipline in private builds credibility in public. When teammates know you hold yourself accountable without supervision, they trust you with greater responsibility. They trust your word. They trust your preparation. That trust cannot be demanded. It is earned quietly. In the end, discipline is a habit of honoring standards regardless of circumstance. It is choosing effort over comfort when comfort is available. It is maintaining precision when no one would notice a small drop in quality. It is staying sharp during seasons when nothing urgent is happening. Trust is built through shared hardship, not words. You can talk about loyalty. You can talk about brotherhood. You can stand in a circle and promise to have each other's backs. But none of that means much until you've been tested together. Trust is not declared. It is earned in discomfort. A Navy SEAL team does not begin with deep trust. It begins with individuals. Different backgrounds, different personalities, different strengths. What binds them is not similarity. It is shared strain. Think about long training evolutions where sleep is limited and expectations are high. Cold water, heavy loads, endless repetitions. When your body is tired and your patience is thin, your true character shows. You cannot fake resilience for long. You cannot pretend to care about the team if your actions say otherwise. Hardship reveals patterns. Who carries extra weight without being asked? Who complains when things get difficult? Who stays sharp when exhausted? Who cuts corners when no one is looking? These patterns are observed quietly. Over time, they shape how much others rely on you. Trust grows when words and actions align under pressure. If someone says they will cover your sector, you need to know they will actually do it. Not when it is convenient, not when it is easy, but when it is uncomfortable. That confidence is not built in conversation. It is built in repeated proof. Shared hardship compresses time. In normal environments, trust can take years to develop. In high-intensity training, it can form in weeks because the experiences are extreme. You see people at their worst and their best. You see how they handle fear, how they respond to failure, how they treat others when they have nothing left to give. There is a difference between liking someone and trusting them. You may not share hobbies. You may not agree on everything. But if you have seen someone push through pain to complete the mission, if you have seen them refuse to quit when quitting would have been understandable, respect forms. That respect becomes the foundation of trust. Hardship also forces dependence. During complex operations, no one succeeds alone. One person handles communication. Another manages navigation. Another secures entry. If one fails, the team feels it. Training scenarios are designed to expose these interdependencies. You learn quickly that your performance affects everyone else. When you struggle and someone steps in to support you without hesitation, something shifts. When you do the same for them later, the bond deepens. These exchanges create a quiet contract. We endure together. We protect each other. We finish together. Trust is strengthened by vulnerability under stress. Admitting you are at your limit during training is not weakness. It is honesty. When teammates respond by helping you improve rather than judging you, connection grows. The unit becomes stronger because individuals are not hiding flaws. They are confronting them openly. Mistakes also play a role. In high-stakes environments, errors can be costly. During training, mistakes are corrected firmly. But when someone owns their mistake, learns from it, and does not repeat it, credibility increases. Accountability builds trust faster than perfection. Shared hardship strips away ego. Titles and status matter less when everyone is cold, tired, and carrying weight. What matters is contribution, effort, reliability. You earn your place daily through action. That constant proving grounds the team in reality. There are moments during extreme training where quitting seems reasonable. When muscles shake. When sleep deprivation clouds thinking. In those moments, you look around and see others continuing. That sight alone can push you forward. You realize your decision affects them. You do not want to be the weak link. Over time, the memory of what you endured together becomes a reference point. When facing a new challenge, you recall previous trials. We have been through worse. We handled it. That shared history becomes psychological armor. Trust built this way is quiet but powerful. You do not need constant reassurance. You do not need long explanations. A glance can communicate enough. A short command is followed without hesitation because confidence already exists. This kind of trust cannot be rushed. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be simulated through speeches or team-building slogans. It is forged in strain, reinforced in repetition, and proven when comfort is absent. Clarity under pressure separates leaders from followers. Pressure changes people. It speeds up the heart. It narrows vision. It makes simple decisions feel complex. In high-risk environments, confusion spreads fast. When information is incomplete and time is short, someone has to cut through the noise. A Navy SEAL leader is expected to do exactly that. Clarity does not mean having all the answers. It means identifying what matters most in the moment. What is the objective? What is the immediate threat? What is the next action? When others feel overwhelmed by variables, the leader simplifies. Pressure creates competing priorities. There may be unexpected movement. Equipment may malfunction. Communication may break. Emotions may rise. Without clarity, a team can freeze or scatter. A clear leader anchors the group. He speaks concisely. He issues direct instructions. He avoids unnecessary detail. This clarity is trained long before real missions. Decision-making drills are repeated under stress. Scenarios are designed to overload the mind. The goal is not to eliminate stress. It is to function within it. Leaders practice slowing their breathing, organizing information quickly, and committing to a course of action. Hesitation is contagious. If a leader appears uncertain, the team senses it immediately. Doubt spreads. Reaction time slows. Clarity, on the other hand, creates momentum. Even if the situation is imperfect, a decisive direction allows coordinated movement. Clarity also requires emotional control. Under pressure, frustration can surface. Fear can creep in. Anger can distort judgment. A leader cannot allow emotion to dictate tone or decisions. Calm voice, steady posture, measured pace. These signals communicate stability even before words are spoken. In chaotic moments, people look for cues. They scan faces. They listen for tone. They interpret body language. A leader who maintains composure reassures the team without saying much. That composure does not mean the absence of stress. It means stress is managed internally. Clarity is rooted in preparation. When plans are studied thoroughly, when contingencies are discussed in advance, decisions become faster. The leader does not invent responses from scratch. He selects from options already considered. That mental preparation reduces cognitive overload. There is also a discipline of prioritization. Not every problem can be solved at once. Under pressure, the temptation is to address everything immediately. Clear leaders ask a simple question. What must be handled right now to keep the mission viable? Secondary issues wait. Communication reflects this focus. Short sentences, direct commands, no unnecessary commentary. In high-noise environments, brevity increases effectiveness. Every word must carry weight. Every instruction must be actionable. Clarity also involves listening. Even in leadership, information flows from multiple sources. Team members may notice details the leader has not seen. A clear leader absorbs input quickly, filters it, and integrates what is relevant. Ego does not interfere. The objective remains central. When mistakes occur, clarity helps contain damage. Instead of assigning blame mid-crisis, the leader redirects attention to corrective action. What is the solution now? What adjustment is required? Accountability can come later. In the moment, focus stays on recovery. Over time, teams learn to trust leaders who provide consistent clarity. They know instructions will be precise. They know objectives will not shift randomly. They know emotional reactions will not cloud direction. That predictability builds confidence. Pressure never disappears from high-stakes operations. Noise remains. Uncertainty remains. Risk remains. The difference is how it is handled. Some react impulsively. Some withdraw. Leaders with clarity create structure inside disorder. They narrow focus to the essential. They commit to action despite incomplete information. This ability is not about dominance. It is about responsibility. When others are overloaded, someone must absorb the weight of decision. Someone must project steadiness so the team can execute. Clarity becomes a form of service. It protects the group from paralysis and fragmentation. It channels energy toward progress instead of panic. Fear is managed, not eliminated. Anyone who says they feel no fear in dangerous situations is either inexperienced or dishonest. Fear is natural. It is the body's alarm system. It sharpens awareness. It increases heart rate. It prepares muscles to move. In high-risk operations, fear is expected. A Navy SEAL does not train to remove fear. He trains to function with it. The first step is recognizing it without shame. When entering an uncertain environment, the mind runs scenarios. What if something goes wrong? What if the intelligence is inaccurate? What if the threat is closer than expected? These thoughts surface automatically. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. Instead, fear is acknowledged and redirected. Breathing becomes controlled. Slow inhale. Controlled exhale. This simple action sends a signal to the nervous system. The body begins to stabilize. Heart rate lowers. Vision widens. Thinking becomes clearer. Fear is still present, but it is no longer in control. Training plays a critical role. Exposure reduces shock. When you have practiced similar scenarios repeatedly, the unfamiliar becomes familiar. Live fire exercises. Night operations. High-stress drills. Each repetition teaches the brain that intense situations can be navigated. Fear often grows from uncertainty. The less you know, the more your mind fills gaps with worst-case outcomes. Preparation reduces those gaps. Studying terrain, reviewing plans, rehearsing contingencies all shrink the unknown. There is still risk, but it is defined rather than imagined. Team dynamics also help manage fear. When you trust the person next to you, your mental load decreases. You do not feel alone in the danger. You know someone is covering your blind spots. That shared responsibility lightens the weight of anxiety. Fear can distort perception. Sounds may seem louder. Movements may appear faster. Time may feel stretched. Without training, these distortions can lead to rushed decisions. With experience, you learn to recognize these sensations as normal stress responses. You do not interpret them as signs of failure. There is also mental rehearsal. Before missions, scenarios are visualized in detail. You imagine the entry, the movement, the unexpected complication. You picture yourself responding calmly. When reality mirrors imagination, the brain registers familiarity. Familiarity reduces panic. Physical conditioning contributes as well. A strong body handles stress better. Endurance training, strength work, and repeated exposure to discomfort create resilience. When your body is accustomed to strain, the physical symptoms of fear feel less overwhelming. Language matters internally. Instead of thinking, "I am terrified," the mindset shifts to, "My body is preparing me to perform." The sensation is reframed. Increased heart rate becomes readiness. Heightened awareness becomes focus. The interpretation changes the impact. Fear is also compartmentalized. During the mission, attention is narrowed to immediate tasks. Clear this corner. Communicate this update. Move to this position. Breaking large threats into small actions prevents the mind from spiraling into what-if scenarios. After-action reflection is important. Fear that is suppressed completely can resurface later. Within disciplined teams, experiences are discussed. Reactions are analyzed. Lessons are extracted. This process normalizes fear as part of the profession rather than a personal weakness. Experience reshapes fear over time. The first exposure to danger feels intense. The second is slightly more manageable. The third builds confidence. Not because the risk decreases, but because competence increases. Confidence does not erase fear. It balances it. There is a difference between reckless behavior and controlled courage. Recklessness ignores fear and underestimates risk. Controlled courage acknowledges fear and proceeds with awareness. The latter is sustainable. The former is dangerous. Managing fear requires humility. You respect the environment. You respect the threat. You do not assume invincibility. That respect keeps preparation sharp and decision-making grounded. In high-stakes operations, fear becomes a signal rather than a barrier. It alerts you to danger while discipline guides your response. It heightens senses while training directs action. The goal is not to feel nothing. The goal is to move forward despite feeling something. Success is earned in the dark before it is seen in the light. When people witness a flawless operation, a precise movement, or a calm decision under pressure, they often focus on the moment itself. They see execution. They see confidence. They see control. What they do not see are the months and years that shaped that moment long before it arrived. The dark is where the real work happens. Early mornings when the body wants rest, but training begins anyway. Late nights reviewing procedures while others relax. Extra repetitions after standards have already been met. These moments rarely attract attention. There is no applause in empty rooms. A Navy SEAL understands that visible success is only the surface. Behind every coordinated movement is hours of rehearsal. Behind every accurate shot is countless rounds fired in practice. Behind every calm decision is a history of controlled stress exposure. The spotlight lasts minutes. The preparation lasts far longer. Working in the dark also means improving weaknesses privately. No one announces the areas where they struggle. Instead, they stay after training to refine technique. They ask for feedback. They repeat drills that expose flaws. Pride is set aside because the mission matters more than ego. The dark is uncomfortable. There are no cameras, no recognition, sometimes no immediate results. Progress can feel slow. Improvement can be incremental. It requires patience to continue when gains are not obvious. It requires belief that effort compounds even when the evidence is subtle. Consistency becomes the advantage. Anyone can push hard for a short period. Few maintain standards over time without external pressure. The discipline to train when tired, to study when distracted, to refine when bored builds quiet momentum. That momentum is invisible at first. Then the light comes. An operation unfolds. A crisis emerges. A decision must be made quickly. In that moment, preparation surfaces. Movements are automatic. Communication is clear. Confidence is steady. Observers may call it natural ability. They may call it composure under fire. They do not see the dark hours that made it possible. There is also a psychological aspect to unseen work. When you know how much effort you have invested privately, doubt has less space to grow. You can rely on proof rather than hope. Confidence is not based on optimism. It is based on repetition. Success in the light can be deceptive. Recognition can create the illusion that the hard part is over. It can tempt complacency. But professionals understand that each visible success rests on a foundation that must be maintained. The dark work does not stop after one achievement. Standards remain high even when no mission is scheduled. Skills are sharpened continuously. Fitness is preserved. Procedures are reviewed. The quiet grind continues because readiness is not seasonal. It is constant. There is humility in this process. You accept that improvement is ongoing. You acknowledge that yesterday's success does not guarantee tomorrow's outcome. You return to the basics. You refine fundamentals. You respect the small details that others might overlook. Over time, this habit creates separation. When two individuals face the same challenge, the one who invested more unseen effort responds with greater control. The difference is not talent alone. It is accumulated preparation. Working in the dark also builds resilience. You learn to operate without validation. You learn to push without encouragement. You learn to measure progress internally rather than through applause. That independence strengthens character. In high-stakes environments, there is no time to build skill on the spot. The moment either reveals readiness or exposes its absence. There is no shortcut that replaces sustained preparation. The light does not create competence. It reveals it. The pattern is consistent. Private discipline leads to public performance. Quiet repetition leads to visible precision. Unseen sacrifice leads to observable strength. Those who commit to the dark understand that success is rarely sudden. It is the delayed result of effort applied consistently when no one was watching.